All right, wait a minute.
What?
Don't change the station. I know your first reaction when you hear we're going to talk about the alphabet is to say, come on, the alphabet. I'm going to change the station. Well, it's a bad idea, always.
Yes, it is.
If we're talking, don't change the station. That's rule number one.
That's right.
But students have the same reaction in class. They roll their eyes and they say, come on, I'm not 6 years old. And then I say, okay, I tell you what, I make a bet with students. I say, if you can spell your name correctly, or maybe a few other basic words, we can skip, saltamos, we can skip the alphabet. And almost never do they do it correctly.
That is right.
So we're going to demand perfection here. And we're going to play a little game now, but later in the program, where the listener can play at home or in their car or wherever they may be. We're going to test your spelling knowledge. This is one of those lessons like irregular verbs in the past where you have to, as a teacher, demand perfection on this.
Hay que exigir perfección.
It's one of those lessons that people just kind of never quite learn correctly, and 20 years later they're still making little mistakes when it's something that you just have to perfect in the beginning.
That's right.
Yeah, I was trying to think of the equivalent in English for arrastrarlo. It's a problem, typical problem. Well, yeah, but I don't
latent. You know.
Anyway, you know what the biggest problem is, Sandra?
What?
In the alphabet the English alphabet for Spanish students is the vowels.
The vowels.
Because there are a couple different. If you say one thing in Spanish, it means another thing in English. The same pronunciation exists, but it's a different letter.
That's right.
So, Sandra, the vowels are A, E, I, O, U. And I usually try to give my students a couple of hints, como pistas o consejos, for remembering them. Now, A, the first letter of the alphabet. Also the article in English, an indefinite article, a dog, a book. Now, the pronunciation, a book, we won't get into now. But you can just remember that you always say that when you're talking about things. I have a coin. I have a coin in my pocket. And it's also the first letter of the alphabet, A, B, C, D. So you shouldn't forget A when you're talking. The problem usually comes with E and I. How do you say the letter E in Spanish?
The letter E is E.
E. So it sounds like A in English.
Yeah, kind of.
But E. The easiest way to remember the letter E, email. Everyone writes emails. Everyone receives emails.
Email.
There was a kind of sappy, empalagosa movie with Tom Hanks called Tienes un email.
That's right.
All right. Not Tienes un iMail or Tienes un A-mail. No, you have an E-mail. Okay. Another thing I can never understand, well, okay, it's a little tricky, but Spanish students confuse E and I. You, as a student or as an English speaker, you say the word I about 1 million times.
That's
I
right.
live, I go, I work, I play, I come.
I.
Okay. You don't say live.
No.
I live. So A, book. Email, I live. And then O is not very complicated.
Nah.
And U. Another problem that comes with vowels, you know, when we learn the vowels as kids, we say A, E, I, O, U, and sometimes Y. So a lot of times students get mixed up with I and Y. I is
Y latina.
And Y is
Y.
You know, it makes me laugh sometimes when students say I Greek.
I Greek. Yeah.
Okay.
It sounds funny.
For example, Colby, C-O-L-B, I Greek. No, C-O-L-B-Y.
Nobody would understand that. I Greek.
No, I have a little saying I always tell my students, and they laugh. But Y de Paraguay.
Okay.
But I don't mean K-Y, I mean Y como la última letra de Paraguay. So if you say that little saying in Spanish, Y de Paraguay, you will remember that Y is the last letter of Paraguay.
That's good.
All right.
Easy to remember.
All right. Some other confusing letters.
Let's hear them.
H
La H.
A lot of times people don't really know how to say the letter H.
H.
And also complicated is the pronunciation of H. We pronounce the H. French people have a really hard time in English because they don't pronounce H's.
That's
so they
right.
say, I have a big house instead of house. How do Spanish people say the television series House?
House.
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 So it's not so strong, is it? It's not
No, it's not.
You know, like they say in Extremadura, si no dices higo ni higuera, no eres de mi tierra. Well, the same thing is true in English. Extremeño and English are very similar because you have to pronounce the H.
Yeah, this was a bad idea. When I taught children, I told them, yes, the H. It's like when you blow your breath on someone. So it's better not to do that with children because then they start going to each other and it's terrible. All right. Well, G and J.
All right. So G and J is another confusing thing. G. So think about this. DJ. All right. Disc jockey. You go to Ibiza. That is the DJ playing that music. It is not the DG. All right. So J, sometimes the pronunciation is a little complicated for Spanish people of the J, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Do you have any advice on pronouncing the J?
Well, you know how Argentinians pronounce the eye?
Oye.
Oye. Okay, that sound, the J.
J.
Okay, so imagine you're spelling it double L-E-I. Imagine that's a word. You would say
Double L-E-I, J.
J.
J. So that's how we say the letter J.
J, exactly. The letter J. Okay, so imagine you're saying, oh, J. You see now? J.
Okay. K, L, like el hombre, the letter L. L. M and N all sometimes cause students. A lot of times you'll tell a student M and they'll write N and vice versa.
Yeah.
So M and N. Okay. Do you know why the person from Lepe was fired from the M&M factory?
Why?
Le despidieron de la fábrica de M&Ms.
Why?
He was throwing away the W's.
Oh, no. Tiraba las V's dobles.
A la basura.
Quality control.
Okay. Q.
Q, okay.
R. Senator, you have a particular...
Yes.
How can we say it? Pet peeve with the pronunciation of the letter R sometimes.
Yes. Just yesterday, I spoke with somebody whose last name was Rodriguez. All right.
Imagine that.
Yes, very common in Spain. And she kept pronouncing her R's. Instead of saying R, she said ed. So, no, it's R. R. In American English, in British English, in any English, it's R. Okay? Not ed. R.
Another problem, because Spanish people really nowadays don't make a distinction between the two, are B and V. Notice the difference. Barcelona, B. Valencia, V. We do not say Valencia.
No.
Voy a ir a Valencia. No. In English, if you were reading that sentence in English, we would say, voy a ir a Valencia.
That's right. So, void. With your teeth on your lip.
Okay.
Exactly.
You know what's interesting? Cordoba in Spain is spelled with a B, but there's a city in Argentina that's Cordoba, and it's spelled with a V. Oh. And I think in the olden days, Cordoba in Spain was spelled with a V also, I think.
Really?
I think so.
Okay.
All right, so repeat after me. B.
B.
And V.
V.
V. Okay. How do you say W? W. I can't say it in Spanish.
Uy, W.
W. We don't say double V.
No.
You know, it's funny because a lot of times in English, if you're spelling your name, imagine your name's Bobby. You could say, my name is Bobby, B-O-B-B-Y.
Okay.
Or you could say B-O-double-B-Y, which just means you write two B's. Escribes dos B's, double. So if you tell someone, my name is Walter, double V, so you say it incorrectly, and you say double V-A-L-T-E-R, The English person will understand that your name is Vivalter.
Vivalter.
Because you will have written Vivalter.
And that is an unusual name.
You know what? I like it. If I ever have kids, I'm going to name my first boy Vivalter.
Vivalter.
So, W. Any other double letter, if you say W, someone will write W. But if you say double B or double V, someone will write BB or VV or... Okay. Sandra, which brings us up to the point of the pronunciation of the W. This is another thing that you often stress. Tú pones hincapié en esto en tus clases.
Yes, it's true. Well, this is something that's very important because, first of all, we say wagon, not wagon, okay? O sea, es como una especie de ua, wagon, okay? No, ni guagen, ni wagen, no suena a G, no suena a V, suena a una especie de U, okay? Wagon.
I had a student once named Walfredo.
Wow.
But no one in the company could pronounce. Everyone called him Balfredo.
Balfredo.
Or Valfredo. No one ever said Walfredo.
Wow.
I think 90% of the people called him Balfredo. Balfre.
Balfre.
So no. W.
Okay.
Wagon. Washington.
Wood.
X. Yeah, good. That's a really common mistake. Students say, I good go.
Yeah, so I would like to go.
I would like, would.
It's w.
And then X, Y, Z. Now, this is interesting because in American English, we say Z. X, Y, Z. In British English, they say Z.
That's right.
But in any case, in Spanish, the theta is TH, th. Zaragoza. But in English, it's like a bee. Es como una abeja. Zaragoza.
That's right. And really, I have to stress that people in America will not understand when you say Z. We don't understand that in the U.S. So when you're in the UK, say Z, and when you're in the U.S., say Z.
Yeah. Now, like with most cases, British people will understand Z.
Will
American people won't understand Z.
Okay.
And in any case, a lot of Spanish people insist on saying Zeta.
Yes.
And they think, they'll understand me. Zeta, everyone understands that. No. Americans will not understand if you said, I'm from Zaragoza. Zeta A...
They'll say Zeta?
Catherine Zeta-Jones?
Yeah, exactly.
What? Most people like Catherine Zeta-Jones. That will get their attention.
Exactly.
So look at this, Sandra. C, S, and Theta. The letters. C.
La C.
Is like ver, C. My name is Colby, Colby. S is como decir es mío. S. Now, there's another problem there, Sandra. A lot of times with words that start with S, Spanish people say stop.
Yes, or Spain.
Spain, I don't hear that much.
Made in Spain.
Made in Spain. Oh, that's right.
Yeah, it's a classic.
So how do you pronounce Spain and stop correctly?
Say Spain.
Spain. Stop.
Spain, stop.
Like the snake, como una serpiente.
That's right.
So,
it's hard for them to pronounce the S with a consonant, okay? Especially those P's and T's.
This is like Kung Fu. It's the bee and the snake.
Yes.
La abeja y la serpiente.
Stop.
So, la zeta como la abeja. Z. Y la S como la serpiente. S. Spain. Stop. So, Sandra.
What?
Spell Zaragoza.
Zaragoza.
Okay.
All right.
That's what we're going to do later in the program. So instead of translations for this lesson, I'm going to give you a bunch of words to spell that Spanish people will know, the words, and they can play at home.
Ooh, that sounds like fun.
Okay, we'll be right back.